Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are doing wonderful. And today we'll be doing something a little new. So work with me because this is my first time doing this. So bear with me. Hello, hello, as you guys um, come in. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Again, I'll be doing something a little different today. So bear with me. Hope you guys are doing wonderful and your day is going well. All right. So, what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to play this video for you guys to hear, and then we are going to talk about it for the duration of about an hour. So one second, let me see if I could get this going. And you guys, like I said, bear with me. This is my first time doing this, so it might be a few hiccups. Okay. I merely believe that a mother can very much love your child and have bad priorities. So to say that a mother that has bad father, or if his movements are not to her liking in general, that she doesn't love her child. When in reality, that could be 100% false. She just has bad priorities and she's prioritizing herself or her wants and Are you needs, guys or able to hear this
how she
video?
thinks things should go
If so, let me see if I can. I'm trying to.
above what's best for the child. And so I think that women that prioritize their child.
Mm-mm-mm. Can you guys hear the video? Please let me know if you can hear the video. Bear with me, you guys, because I'm like, it won't let me start it back from the beginning for some reason.
Believe that a mother
Reason why so many abandoned children can forgive their fathers for not being in their life is because their mothers never demonized their fathers in real life. In real life, their mothers did not tell them horrible things about their father. If anything, mothers who truly love their children told their children, your father loves you. Your father's just going through some things right now, but your daddy loves you. And anytime that man wanted to pop up, show up, the mother always allowed it. Whether he showed up once a month, once a year, once every 5 years, the mother still allowed it. And that's often the reason why those children still have a place in their heart for their fathers. And I know even for me, my mother never spoke bad about my father. My mother excused my father's poor behavior with me and basically would say he had an addiction problem, but he still loved me. You know, he had a lot of things going on, but he still loved me. As a mother, you're never going to want to, those that really love our children, you're never going to tell your child, your daddy don't love you. Your daddy is here because he can't stand you. Like, mothers that love their children typically try to find a way to excuse why their child's father is not in their life, which is a detriment to us, because oftentimes they will have a space in their heart and be mad at us for something when we're the ones that were actually there day to day. But that's the reason why. And people ain't gonna say it because they want to stereotype, especially black women.
Honestly, I think this is beautifully stated.
Okay, you guys. So that's what we're talking about today. And I posted this video, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, and there's been a lot of feedback on the video. So I felt like it would be a really dope topic to follow up with. As far as mothers are concerned, because one of the most popular comments has been, well, I'm not going to lie to my child. If he picked up and walked away, I am not lying on behalf of that man walking away. I want to express to mothers that there's a lot of ways to convey the truth. See, when we're talking about I'm not going to lie for him, understand that as a mother, your responsibility is more than just raising your child, making sure they're going to school and they have shoes on their feet and food in their belly. As a mom, your responsibility is their emotional intelligence and well-being. Not just when I say well-being, as in you're supposed to focus on everyone around the child that you can correct their behavior, and you're exempt from that. See, a lot of things that a lot of times moms really don't pay attention to the fact that they have their negative habits as well. You're so busy trying to regulate how the father shows up as a father that you're not diving into how you show up as a mother on a regular basis, because in your mind you change the diapers, you fix the bottles, you give the baths, so there's nothing to go through with the fine-tooth comb. But you have traumas as well, and when you're a mom and you take the liberty, or your perspective is that I'm not going to lie to my child about the father being absent, it doesn't matter what his hangup is, whether it's inconsistency, a drug addiction, or whatever. He just said he doesn't want to be a father. It is not your place to convey whether or not that's sufficient or enough for the child to express that to the child on the father's behalf. If this child wants to go seek their father out to have a real live discussion with their father, you shouldn't be slaughtering any image of that in the child's mind. Because here's the truth. A lot of times mothers say, well, how can he love you if he's not here? The truth is, us as adults, we are still trying to figure out what love is. If love was so easily able to identify, a lot of you all wouldn't have picked the men to create these children with in the first place. If we could just look at love and readily identify it, we wouldn't intentionally have children and get into marriages and get into relationships with people that knowingly were showing and displaying that they didn't love us. The truth is that most of us don't recognize love until we're in it and it's affecting our well-being. So most parents are not even in a position to convey what love even is, to have that type of discussion, to say that if your father walked away, he doesn't love you. Understand there's a difference between love and acting out love. You can love anybody. That doesn't mean that you have been taught the harmonic and responsible behaviors and loving behaviors to convey that to another person. Us as women, we understand that within relationships on an everyday basis. You can be in relationship with a man, you can be in relationship with a woman. What's going on, Terry? Good to see you. And that person tell you that they love you day in and day out, but the display of love is still a miss for you. There, it's your child is is not exempt from that experience. That is very possible to have a father that loves them, but he feels inefficient or unworthy of being a father in his own right, and instead of stepping up to the plate, he runs away from that responsibility. That doesn't mean he doesn't love his child. It means he's having a hard time confronting the idea of being a father when he doesn't believe he can be that. He has a lack of confidence. He has a lack of self-esteem. And just because you're the mom does not mean you get to categorize his disappearance as lack of love towards his own child. Even men that say, I don't want that child. I told you I don't want it. Most of these men don't even believe they can live up to being a good father because they didn't have the demonstration in their own right. You are projecting onto your own child the thoughts of a man when he did not express to you how he feels. And even if he did, it is not your place to filter that down to a child that has a lack of understanding as to what that means in its entirety. Your job as mother It's to protect that child's emotional security. For example, if you know that you have a father, a baby father, or ex-husband that has a tendency to make promises and not keep them. Say I'm going to go pick up the kids and then not show up. As mom, how dare you hear this man say, I'm going to go to the school and pick him up on Friday, and you know this man is inconsistent, and you're going to tell the child, daddy's going to pick you up on Friday. Then when he doesn't show up, now the child is living in emotional, disarray, because children automatically blame themselves even if they're not the problem. If they have a mother that's a drinker and she's an alcoholic and she's depressed, the child automatically thinks there's something they can do to resolve that for their mother. The same is true in relationship with their father. So the fact that you know this man is inconsistent and he makes promises and he fails to keep them because he lacks discipline, not because he doesn't love his child, but because he lacks discipline. You relay the message to the child. Now you have to be the one to relay the message to the child that he's not going to be there, even though he said he was. Now you also have to clean up the mess. And because you're frustrated and you feel like it's his fault for saying he's going to do something that he can't follow through on, when it's also your responsibility to understand he can't make that commitment because he hasn't shown consistency. Take the brunt of that and say, you know what, if you're going to pick up our child on Friday, go ahead and pop up and pick them up on Friday. What your job is as mom to say, you know what, I would appreciate it if you would pick them up on Friday. If for any reason you can't show up, give me a call. But also as mom, knowing that he is inconsistent, you operate and run your day like you would any other day and be there to pick up your child on time. And if he, for any reason, is not there, you pull up like you always pull up and say, hey, baby, how was school? Your child has no idea that his father made a promise. Your dad has no idea that he broke the promise. You are the only person aware of that fact. And you pick up your child like you didn't even have a conversation with that man about what he is or what he said and the fact that he did or he did not. You pick up your child like business as usual. So your child can have a positive rest of their day. Nor do they have to witness you being irritated and walking throughout the house about how it's inconveniencing your day and how he just don't care about what you got going on. If he wasn't there, you would have still had to pull up to pick up your child. So there's no need in throwing a fit about the inconsistency that his father has already shown you he has. Granted, mom wants to have a life, but guess what? You have a child and the child lives with you, which means at any given time, at any given moment, mommy has to make an adjustment. That does not change because he said he was going to pick up the children on Friday. Thank you so much for that, putting that information up there, Terry. And as a mom, you have to shoulder that burden. The reason why women share their disappointments with the child is because deep down, somewhere in your spirit, you genuinely want the child to take sides against their father because you feel like you're suffering while he getting off scot-free when it comes to responsibility. That shows a lack of maturity, and now you're expecting the child to carry that burden for you. And then at the same time, you're like, I'm just trying to protect my child while you're giving him the stiff arm. You can't be around because you don't be showing up. Some of that is your doing because you do not have to express that to the child. You can let dad pop up and let it be a surprise to both of y'all. You don't have to do it like that. You're choosing to do it like that because in part, somewhere, you want the child to be disappointed so the child can break a relationship with a father, be as mad at him as you are. But when you are healthy, when you are in the high vibration of motherhood, you understand that Empathy is a thing. People fall off. And yes, you may have chosen an irresponsible man as the father of your child. That doesn't mean you get to condemn him, because trust and believe. You may have an attitude problem about having your child 24 hours a day. You may walk around talking about, "Oh my God, I can't wait for my kid to go back to school. Oh, summer, and they always here. I need my life back." You are no better of an example when you're doing that in front of your child. You can be just as toxic. The only difference is he's toxic with his absence and you are toxic with your presence. You don't get a pass because you're there. So understand, just as much as a father should say, "You know what? She shouldn't talk like that in front of you. She shouldn't be saying these things in front of you and doing these things in front of you. She shouldn't be bringing men in and out of your life. That's destructive." He would be inappropriate as well to have a conversation with your child and say, "Your mom, you think your mama love you? Bringing a different dude over here, da 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 da. You think your mama love you? Cussing and talking about, you know what I mean, talking all this junk about you, talking all this mess about your father to you." It's not a question of love. It's a question of negatively impactful behavior. If you're talking down to your child about their father, whether he did something right or wrong, it's negative on your part because you are speaking to the part of your child that has been created by that man. You forget that 50% of your child is that man. Your child finds their identity in part of that man, just as well as they find part of their identity within you. So if you're a single mother and you're raising your child as a single mother, or you're dating somebody, your child will always have that curiosity as to where they come from because they're missing 50% of themselves. If you trash that, if you tarnish that, you acting just like your daddy. They start to see themselves in a lower context of what they should. You're lowering their vibration. You're shutting down their dreams. You're incapacitating their emotional intelligence. You are not servicing your child by saying, if your dad loved you, he would answer the phone. If your dad loved you, he would do this. If your dad loved you, he would do that. All you're doing is nurturing bitterness, nurturing resentment, nurturing hatred, nurturing hostility towards the other person that created your child. And you're not allowing the man to be present to defend himself. Not answering the phone does not mean a lack of love. It's possible he has bad priorities. It's possible he's inconsistent. It's possible he lacks discipline. It's possible he's immature. None of those things mean you lack love. It means that you're immature. It means you need to grow up. It doesn't mean that you don't feel warmth in your heart for a person that came from you. But a mother will put those two things together and have a conversation with her child. So now her child is measuring love by what you do and what you don't do, instead of being a healthy mom and explaining to your child, "Baby, unfortunately, love can look in a lot of different ways. Daddy can love you and have a drinking problem. Daddy can love you and have a gambling problem. Daddy can love you and still be irresponsible with his time management skills. Daddy can love you and not be consistent, not keep his word." Love and your behavior has nothing to do with one another. Do you know why? Because how we learn to display love comes from what we see and how we feel in connection with what we see. In the same right, we will say if a person hits you, they don't love you. It might feel like a toxic perspective, but that's not the truth. A person can love you, but have been demonstrated to in their developmental years or in their adolescence, that causing pain is associated with love. You know this to be true because there are a lot of women out there that want to see you be physically jealous. They will literally create a situation to piss off their counterpart just to see him be violent, to see him be jealous, because to her, you don't love her unless you act crazy over her. So we understand it in that context, but if a person hits you with a closed fist, you can't believe that person don't love you if they do that. They can have love in their heart for you and have an unhealthy form of expressing that love. Am I saying you should stay in a relationship with someone who puts their hands on you? No, because it can lead to ultimately you being unalived and having psychological and emotional damage as an effect. But you can't say, I know for a fact you have no warm feeling in your chest for me. The truth is, most of this world is broken. The truth is that a person can love you to death and try their hardest to impress you and lack the ability to actually impress you. We don't know what love means. So you can't have a conversation with a child and say, your dad not showing up for you mean he don't love you. Your dad could literally want the best for you and put all this money together to put up this fancy present or put together something real nice for you, and it fall through and he is so discouraged he don't show up because he didn't want to let you down. Thank you, Sherry. But on the flip side, the mom will say he didn't show up because he don't love you. But in his experience, he saved up to be able to build you a tree house in the backyard, and something financially fell through, and now he got to sit up there and say he don't have the money to do it. And he couldn't bring himself to look him in the face and say, son, I know I said I was, but I can't. So he just flakes. You have no idea what's going on in his body, in his mind, to speak for that man and then translate it to your child like you know what you're talking about, because you're creating an experience for your child. You're formulating his lenses as to how the child will look through them and how he will see his father, her father. That's not your place to do that. You're supposed to be teaching emotional intelligence and say, baby, the truth is a person can love you and show you in so many ways. Some ways will hurt and some ways will feel amazing. You have to choose the way you want to be loved. And while mommy and daddy love you, we both have different ways of showing how we love. Sometimes people make promises that they don't keep. But some break promises because they lack the ability to be disciplined. Some people break promises because they don't believe in themselves. Some people break promises because they don't care about the promise when they make it. That's the hard part about life, is trying to learn which one is which. None of us know. You have to learn and figure out whether you trust within yourself, within your feeling, within your experience. Regardless of whether it's a good feeling or a bad feeling, I'll be here to talk to you about it either way. You can always tell me if you're happy or if you're sad. I understand being disappointed. But disappointment does not mean someone doesn't love you. It just means they let you down. It means they didn't meet your expectations. And we all have moments where our expectations don't get met. That's a totally different conversation than saying, told you he wasn't going to show up. And you keep on waiting for him sitting on the steps. He don't never show up. What makes you think he love you if every time he say he going to be here, he don't never turn up? You're building hatred in your child. When you teach empathy, you're building understanding that life happens, that whether or not you want to convey love to another person, what's going on inside matters. It affects how you show up. You can love somebody wholeheartedly, and if you don't believe in yourself, you won't even show up 100% of the person you're capable of being. Absolutely. Some people break promises not because they want to, but because of the circumstances. Absolutely. Men work a lot, and more often than not. If your boss tell you you got to choose between working overtime that I randomly asked you to do, and you just promised your child you're going to pick them up and take them to the movies, but your boss is like, you need to stay late tonight or I'm going to cut your hours. You think that man want to turn around and tell his son, I know I said I was taking you to the movies, but we can't go to the movies? And while they should, Simone, they should build courage and explain why, but that is a character building trait just like anything else. Let's look at this from a woman's perspective. There are women in this world who had babies and raised their baby with a man who they knew was not the father. We can ask that same question. Why didn't you build courage and tell your child that the person they thought was their daddy was not their daddy? We have mothers doing things that impact children in a hurtful manner. Why, when a mother stiff arms a father and says, no, you can't see him because you don't pay child support? Why would that same mother explain to the child that the reason why they can't see their dad is because the dad don't want to see him, when in reality, she won't let him see the child because she's not getting what she wants out of it? Why doesn't she have the courage to explain why? You see what I'm saying? The answer to that is fear. The answer to that is you don't know how the person you tell the truth to is going to take it. And the fact that you don't have any control over how they're going to take it is scarier than hiding it. Mothers do it as well. But when the mother has the child in her possession, she feels like she has a little bit of power. So she gets to focus all the negative energy on the father, even though she's doing the same thing in little aspects in relationship with the child as well, withholding bits and pieces of information because she feels like the child can't understand. The child may look at me weird. You see what I'm saying? If you get a divorce and all of a sudden you start dating, you're going to hold off how long you tell your child, because in your mind, you feel like your child might become slightly hostile to you because you're trying to replace their father. You're going to drag it out and act like you just going out with your friends as long as possible for fear that your child may react badly. Why can't you just be honest? And we understand that in that perspective, you will say, I'm just trying to protect the child. But here's the truth. As a mother, your job is not to protect the child from everyday emotions they will have to confront anyway. Your job is to help them navigate these natural emotions so when they have these natural emotions develop, they can handle it. All you're doing is stalling the inevitable. If they have a father or mother that's inconsistent or they break promises, unfortunately, the first time that they have to learn about lies is with a parent. The first time they have to learn about lack of discipline is with a parent. But if you hide the fact that they lack discipline, hide the fact that they break promises, and you disguise it as something else, the child will never learn how to overcome these things. So now they're encountering it for the first time in their teens, in their 20s, in their 30s. There are people that have never really learned that people lie until they're grown, because they have been raised in a system of telling them just what they want to hear. You're not doing them a service by doing that and building, forcing them to grow up in a shell. You're increasing the impact, the blow that will devastate them when they find out and they've built all this time up thinking it doesn't happen. Thinking that people don't lie, people don't deceive, people don't disappoint, people don't lack the ability to meet expectations. By you keeping the father away from the child because you don't want them to feel the disappointment that comes with lack of discipline, that comes with, breaking promises. All you're doing is delaying their growth around understanding that people are flawed. And in your mind, you're protecting your child, but the anger and hostility will turn towards you when that child finds out that people are flawed and mom made people out to be perfect. Or the fact that you associate love with only positive behavior, And then this child finds out otherwise. If you teach your child that love only looks like flowers and rainbows, but not teach this person that people have struggles outside of who they love, your child may walk away from somebody that they greatly want to keep in their life and give up on them because mommy said they don't love you if they behave that way. But you never explained that love has nothing to do with behavior. So now the person that they left behind feels abandoned by them and actually is saying, you don't love me because you walked away from me when I was hurting the most. Well, my mom taught me that if you're hurting and you just focus on yourself when you hurt, you don't love me. What you're teaching your child is that you don't have to factor in what's going on with other people in the background. That is all about you. You're teaching your child entitlement. Nobody cares if you lost your job. Nobody cares if you're depressed. Nobody cares if you want to impress me so much you in your mind you're telling yourself you're a failure. If you don't show up for me, then you don't get access anymore. Do you know what type of life your child will lead by every time you find out a flaw about somebody, you just cut them out of your life? You're raising your child to be alone. Because the truth is, you will never come across a person that doesn't do something that rubs you the wrong way. You have to learn about that person. You have to adjust to that person. You do have to make compromises and sacrifices to keep people in your life. Because nobody is going to do 100% your way and what you want them to do. And if you're teaching that, you're teaching your child that they it's okay to have a license just to cut people from your life because they don't make you feel good. When in reality, nobody will make you feel good all the time. Even the lady in the video said, even though you may speak highly of the father, the child end up turning on you and feeling some type of way towards you. That's not because you talked highly of the father. It's because you're the mom and you're always there. I have a 17-month-old now. I do, you know what I mean? Like, I cater to him in every way. But guess what? I have to give him his medicine when he don't want it. I have to change his diaper when he don't want to. I make him mad sometimes, and I love him dearly. But in the experience, from his perspective, mama don't love me. She over here trying to make me change my diaper. Mama don't love me. She brushing my teeth when I don't want her brushing my teeth. Mama don't love me. She brushing my hair when I don't want her to brush my hair. If you learn that somebody doing something to you or not doing something for you is an act of love or lack thereof, you won't understand that there's certain aspects of life that have to happen and they may be uncomfortable, and that's just as much love. Not only that, but you close the door for that child to build a bond with their father later, because that man is still growing. Time is still progressing. People are still maturing. So the time may come where this man says, you know what? Now that I'm at this level of maturity, I realize what I did 5 years ago, what I did 10 years ago was wrong. I left a lot of pain behind me, a lot of uh, negative experiences. I want to go back and make amends with my child. When they come back, this 16-year-old, 12-year-old, or whatever is like, man, you don't love me. Somebody that love you, pick up the phone. Somebody that love you, show up when they say they're going to show up. And then when the father is saying, I was on drugs, my father walked out on me, I was scared. I found out I was going to be a father, and all I kept thinking about was, how could you possibly be a better father than the one you had when all he taught you was to run? All the child is going to hear is excuses. They're not going to hear empathy. They're not going to be understanding. In their mind, you could have done, you should have done. That's, you know what I mean? You obviously, you just didn't love me. When in reality, life is so much more complex than that. If only we could feel a way and convey how we feel in the moment all the time. Do you know how many people fell in love and missed out on the love of their life because they couldn't muster up saying, I love you? Do you know how many people got divorced and got walked out on because they couldn't say, you know what? I'm sorry. I want you to stay. Forgive me. Pride got in the way. Does it mean that they didn't love you? No, it meant that somehow there was a conflict between how they feel about themselves and how they feel about that person. And there was a tug of war there. And how they felt about themselves won that argument. Does it mean that they don't love you? No, it just means that this person didn't know how to. It means that that person didn't know that they can choose loving you and still keep their pride intact. In their mind, they thought it was a sacrifice. They had to make, it had to be one or the other. And we deal with these problems as adults all the time. But when it comes to our children and fostering a relationship between our children and their father, we don't understand it no more. But these same women got a broken relationship with their own father that they would give anything for. If that man called you right now and said, I need something, you would come running, even though that man ain't never showed up for you. But you're waiting for the day when he'll say, I want to build with you. I want to say, I'm sorry. I want to say, that's all you want to hear. There's so many of us like that right now, still begging for some type of restoration of the relationship we have with our parents. But you would deprive your child of that because in your mind, the aching is not healthy. The longing is not healthy. What's not healthy is denying your experience and your emotions. And we have to get clear on that. As parents, your course of action should not be to build up those same emotions within your child that you have already, and possibly resentful emotions towards your own father, towards your own mother. As a mother, you're supposed to be reshaping them in a healthier fashion than what you have come up with because of what you've learned thus far. Not building up walls within your child because you don't want history to repeat itself. It means you have not healed. And as a result of your lack of healing, you're going to cause your child to live out the same experience and hate a person that they've never even gotten the chance to know. And that's unfair to your child and to the father. Some people will break promises because they want to, not because they want to, but because of circumstances. I agree. I say, even, um, even though you don't have money, come spend time with your children because money is nothing at all. Time is spent is more important. You get me? Maybe I'm wired different. Help me because I can't be a father. Let me do my job as a mother and not have to try to be a father that I'm not. You get me? Absolutely. And I agree with you 100%. Time is way more valuable than money. But even in that, even conveying that, you are so much more mature because a lot of mothers want the child support. They want the money. And they will say, you don't get access unless I get the money. They're prioritizing money ahead of time. And that isn't a person that's prioritizing the welfare of the child, because at an adolescent level, out at a developmental level, money is of no consequence to a child. They don't even understand the concept. They don't know how you pay bills. They just know the lights are on. They don't know how you get food. They just know food is in here. You see what I'm saying? Children don't know about adult concerns until you make the adult concerns their problem. When you start telling your child, your daddy don't pay child support. When you hear a child arguing you don't pay child support, understand that's coming in through the mother's mouth, because children don't care. All they know is I have what I need or I don't. When they start talking about child support and that kind of thing, you know that the people around her, the adults around that child, have been speaking too much about adult issues within the child's presence. And now the child thinks that they know what's going on because they have a little bit of information. And good parents can keep their children out of the perspective of being an adult for as long as possible. When they still get to live in naive land and think that their parents are so great because we always have everything that we need for as long as possible, or until they're actually ready to transition or start being trained into adulthood, which is like that teenage, window. Children shouldn't care about nothing about that. You know what I mean? But when you have 10-year-olds talking about, I gotta make this for my mom, I gotta do this for my dad, you know what I mean? I have to take care of them. You have lost somewhere, because now the child is entering into adulthood way before they've had all the experiences that they should have as an adolescent. And we have these conversations all the time when mothers say, I don't want to lie to my child. There's a big difference between saying, if your dad loved you, they would pick up the phone. If your dad loved you, he would be here, versus saying, I understand disappointment is hard. And unfortunately, sometimes we get disappointed in life for a number of reasons. Just know that your father and I love you. And if there's anything you want to talk about, I'm here. There's no wrong way to feel, but just talk about how you feel and we'll work through it together. As opposed to planting ideas and perspectives in the head of your child, or speaking for a father that you're not even willing to speak to, but think that you have all the insight as to their predicament. People don't answer the phone when they don't want to talk. People don't answer the phone when they haven't paid the bill. People don't answer the phone when they're depressed. People don't answer the phone when they've lost it. There's still, even in such a simple explanation, reasons why. People don't show up to your recital because they had to go to work, because they're sick, because they have any other obligations. If they haven't seen you in a long time, they're scared of what you'll say and what you'll do. Some parents have been gone so long from your life that they over imagine the uphill climb it will take to get back in your good graces. So once they have imagined how horrible it will be, they've imagined what they deserve to hear from you and how many hurtful things you should say to them. The mountain is too steep. The hill is too steep to climb. So they stay gone, because in their mind, they know they deserve to be cussed out. They don't deserve a second chance. And when they start imagining what your response would be, that is way more intimidating than staying gone. Even that experience does not mean they don't love. It means they were intimidated as all get out, and they couldn't step over the fear to see what was on the other side. Why do you think people that cheat keep the information a secret? They don't want to lose the person. They don't want to get the response. They don't want to see the hurt that they've caused. Of course, there's maliciously intended reasons why people keep secrets. But we see these things occur in our everyday life. But for some reason, when you're talking about a father to a child, all of a sudden it gets real easy to explain. If he loved you then, no, love. Love is determined by the recipient, not the provider. And that's one thing that we failed to teach. Even a healthy expression of love will not be received by a person that does not recognize it. So we have to stop depicting love as something that is a positive experience, because for a person that's never been exposed to a positive experience, healthy love doesn't look like love to them either. What love is determined by the recipient, not the person giving the love. The only thing that's determined by the person giving the love is when you give love, you usually give love in a way that you've been loved, in a way that you expect love. It determines what your association with love is as the giver, but it will never speak to whether or not the person you're giving it to will interpret it that same way. So understand, every time you hear somebody say that's love, that's not love, you can switch to a different person and they may switch it in the other direction. This is love, but that's not love, because it will vary according to the person that you're dealing with. Because we don't only we not only do we determine love by our demonstrations, as in how our parents and guardians and loved ones show us affection, but when we encounter trauma associated with those same avenues, we build walls to conceal ourselves in. So for some people, if I can control everything around me, if I can control everything you do, and you operate within my want every time, I know I'm loved. That is a coping mechanism that is essentially suffocating and confining the other person, but they feel it's love. Because if I can regulate everything you say and do, I know I won't get hurt. And if you're willing to operate inside of that, color inside those lines, you love me. Some people only feel desired via jealousy and rage and hostility and being willing to put your hands on people at any time in association with them, because they've led a very violent existence. So they can be loved by a man or loved by a woman that's kind and sweet and listening, very attentive and very present. And they will have a negative perspective of that person because they're not as violent, they're not as aggressive, they're not as forward and blunt and disrespectful as what they have come to know as love. There's a reason why women that have been exposed to inappropriate, intimate behavior, from that point on, they become highly promiscuous. To them, that has become a demonstration of love. When they want to feel loved, when they want to feel desired, they go become intimate, and anybody will do, because the act means love, because they learn that through somebody else. So you can't have a conversation with somebody and say, if they're doing you wrong, if they're causing you pain, if they're singing your praises, they love you. Not to mention the flip side of the coin. We will teach a woman that a good woman cooks. Then another little girl will learn love. Cooking is an act of love. So we wouldn't be able to distinguish if a man found a wife, does she cook for him because she loved him, or she cook for him because it's a matter of duty? You have no idea whether she cooks for you because she loves you, she cleans for you because she loves you, she sleeps with you because she loves you, or she's been taught that this is what a wife does. And there's no connection emotionally to what she does with you at all. A woman could maintain, a man can maintain a full-blown marriage and it has never loved you if they have all the necessary traits of duty, and you respond to those acts of duty with acknowledgement of love. You acknowledge those behaviors as loving. That person could have never loved you. And that's why you can't have these type of conversations with people and say, this is love, that's love. Back in the day, my father would say, if a man walks on the outside of the curve, he loves you. If a man does this, he loves you. He also could just be a man that has learned that that's how you impress a woman. And he could be playing you and not love you at all. He's just trying to take you out for a test drive. I didn't learn that until I became a grown woman. And this is what we do to our children. We say a man, a real man, somebody that loves you, a woman, a real woman, she's going to do this, she's going to do this, she's going to do this. And what you're doing is you're creating a mind state that says, as long as she's checking off the boxes, as long as he's checking off the boxes, that's exactly what you want to see in a relationship. They actually love you, but you're not accounting for the people that learn the game and they're playing you. The people that are just doing these things as a matter of duty and they don't have an emotional bone in their body for you. They're just trying to secure a value, like secure your pockets or secure your virtue. So, as mothers, we have to be substantially more mature and stop acting like we know everything about everything and expressing this to our children. A person that really feels this way about you is going to do this and she's going to do that. He's going to do this and he's going to do that. In reality, it can look like anything at any time because a person manipulating you can look like that too. You have to use the context clues around that behavior. You have to discern with your emotions inside your body about how you feel about that behavior. Your intuition is going to give you some spidey senses to interpret that behavior. You got to collect all this data and then decide how you want to move, because that's how adults make decisions in this life. And even after all that assessment, even after all the context clues and what you've been taught and what's been demonstrated in your traumas and what they've told you, you still can make the wrong decision. That's life. So you can't look at somebody, look at a behavior, look at a demonstration and say, you know what? I know exactly who you are. Love, you're seeing a moment in time. 1 year is nothing compared to 60 years on this earth, 70 years on this earth. 1 hour conversation is nothing to 365 days of conversation. We have a tendency to take moments in time and then tell everybody who a person is. That could have been the lowest year of their life, the lowest month of their life, the year they fell into depression, the year somebody passed away. And that was the year that they spun out of control and they hurt everybody in their path. But there hasn't been another year like it. And you will still be walking around here talking about that person is not responsible. That person don't love you. This is who that person is. You have no idea what you're talking about. Only thing you're conveying is the moments you shared with them, which don't add up to much when they've had many more moments than the ones that they have spent with you. You have no right to convey your perspective to a child that is not mature enough to understand whether or not your reflections are even accurate. That's why you tell your child that their father loves them, because regardless of your experience, regardless of your perspective, regardless of what you think you know, you could be wrong. You could have lost a good man and be speaking completely negatively of him. You could have lost a defeated man and he's going to climb back up to the top of that mountain, and you may regret the fact that you cut that man loose. You don't get to speak negatively of this person to his also child. You nurture your child, secure your child, give them confidence and bravery and understanding and emotional intelligence and independence and an identity. So when they decide whether or not they want to go visit their father, they are ready for whatever response he's going to give. And they're ready to cut him loose if that's what it come down to. So you can be a proud mother, instead of sending him out into the world with anger and hostility, sending them out into the world broken, looking for their identity, sending them out into their world with your preconceived notions with no evidence or facts. As a mom, your purpose is so much bigger than that. And we have to understand that there's a little bit of jealousy embedded in your body when you feel like he can just go out and live his life and you have to move according to the life of someone else. But the truth is, regardless of if you're raising your child with the father or not, you signed up for this. And part of you signing up for this says, with or without the father, I'm still your mother. I still owe you a debt. I am responsible for you. Everything you will develop into being will start with me. And that's something I should take seriously, even if I have to start my healing process as you grow and you're already here. Even if I have to apologize for things that I did before you were born and you're already here. Even if I have to go to therapy and address things that are tearing me down and you're already here. I owe that to my child and to myself because everything I do will shape you. I am painting on a blank canvas, and every stroke of my brush will determine how you show up for somebody else, maybe even your own kids. I have to lead by example. I can't tell you to do what I say, don't do what I do, but my actions are inconsistent with what I say. Understand that that's also a demonstration to your child. When you tell your child to do something, but you can't match the commitment that you're requesting to come up from them, it's called hypocrisy. That does your child a disservice as well. Don't tell your child not to be a liar, but then when the bill collector calls, say, tell him I'm not home. You're teaching them then too. When your child asks you what's wrong and you've got tears in your eyes and you say nothing is wrong, you're teaching them then too to suppress their emotions and act like everything is okay. You're teaching them then to deny their own emotions and vulnerability. You are teaching them then too. So you focusing on the absence of another person, but not focusing on your contribution while you're present is completely crazy and a lot more impactful and toxic than he will ever be in his absence. And that has to be something that we take seriously. I get it. It's hard, it's challenging doing it alone and all of that. I completely understand. But when you're assigned to be a parent, you're saying through it all, this is my responsibility and I accept it. Through the presence or absence of your father, through illness, through success, through failure, through disappointment, through achievement, I'm here. Not only to celebrate you, to cheer for you, to push you, but to hold you up, to give you crutches, to give you the first aid kit, to talk to you about your soul. I have to show you how to endure, how to be resilient, how to be a master of your own universe, how to claim your identity, how to stand up for how you feel and not let anyone suffocate the voice that speaks for what's going on inside of you. Mom is here. I get it. We're trying to do this for other people while we're still developing. That's what makes the honor so great. Because if you manage to actually build a well balanced, empathetic, emotionally intelligent, successful person while you were trying to rebuild yourself, while you were trying to do your shadow work, while you were trying to get your college degree, while you were trying to repair what's broken inside of you, it says you are something phenomenal, love. You don't get to give up and tap out because it's hard, because other women give up too. They struggling with the same thing. Everybody got a man like mine, so I'ma just subscribe to the hate a man tribe. No, have a higher calling. Have a higher expectation of yourself and what you have produced in this world. The more challenges you encountered as a mother while you're raising somebody else and you still triumph just speaks of your integrity, love. It speaks of your divine purpose, love, your conviction, your standards, your mind, your mental fortitude. It speaks so highly of you to say, I went through this, I went through this. The father of my child wasn't there. I lost my job. I went back for my college degree at 40 and still raised some phenomenally well-spoken, empathetic, compassionate, and caring children. Do you know what that says about you, Queen? That speaks a good mother. That speaks a good woman. But when we allow the world to cave in on us and we fold, not only do we fold, but we use our experience as an excuse to not invest in the children that we had. That's what speaks to our flaws and our weakness. That's what speaks to our lack of development and our lack of understanding for what we aspired to do, what we signed up to do. That's what says that we had no idea the responsibility that we had before we encountered it. But when you can have dreams of building something special within the mind of your child, regardless of the hurdles you've been sent along the way, love, you glow. You glow. And yes, it's challenging, but it's meant to. It wouldn't be worth achieving if it didn't push back on you. It's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to wake you up inside. It's supposed to grow you up. It's not supposed to crush you. It's supposed to teach you. It's supposed to help you evolve, help you learn, help you become thicker in your skin and your understanding. Communication in real time is the answer. We have to be willing to look outside ourselves. Thank you for the tag. Speak life. A mother's purpose is so much bigger than that. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean this from the bottom of my heart, you guys. I know that life is hard. I have so many friends that were mothers 2 and 3 times over that were bestowed this responsibility long before I was. And I have always valued it as much as I do, even more so now that I have my son. But I've always had these convictions because we may not think so in today's date, but motherhood will always be more impactful for generations, more impactful than your career, the money you've made, the name you built for yourself. Your child and how they show up in the world and how they create their children and build their structure around themselves will always be more impactful if you do what you're supposed to do. It's when you don't do what you're supposed to do that then a career and the name you built for yourself might uh create a lasting impression. But that's something that you have to have your will and determination behind in order to be successful. You have to care. You have to know when your brokenness is coming out of your mouth and in your actions and say, I won't allow that, because the purpose here is more important than a temporary emotion. I appreciate all you guys joining me tonight. I hope the information was helpful. Please do what you guys have been doing. And I appreciate you guys so much for tagging other women to be present for this conversation. I'm glad the video was beneficial to some people, and I hope this conversation has taken it a little bit further. Thank you for all the queens that contributed to the conversation tonight in the chat. And I will see you guys next week, if not sooner. Please remember that everything on this platform is for your growth and development. It is not to tear you down. It is not meant to create any type of self-doubt, but it is meant to make you stronger and change your perspective so you can correct some of these decisions long before they impact you and you're looking back on them about what you should have done. We can do those things today as long as we're willing to have the conversation. Also, don't forget to acknowledge, rebuild, and evolve. And I will see you guys later. You have a wonderful night. Peace.